he was a 9-point with a 174 9-point frame. And then he had 6 kickers all clustered together at his bases. He had about 10 kickers, but only 6 that were an inch or greater. And those 6 added up to like 10 and 2/8. So 174, the kickers took him to 184.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast, powered by DeerCast. We got Matt Drury in the house.
We got Tim Chelswick, but most importantly, we got a man who's on a mission. We got the bad man himself, Mr. Mark Drury, with us today. What's up, Mark?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going. So, I can't remember in 35 years, your crew having a hotter start to the season, not only with the temperatures that we've been having, but the good fortune that's come your way. Of course, a lot of hard work that's gone into that from the whole crew up there. But man, you guys are on a tear. 4 kills in Missouri, 4 kills in Iowa between all the people that you guys take hunting. Have you bought a lottery ticket yet?
No, you can't remember it, nor can I, for good reason, because it hasn't happened before. So we're just maybe the dew factor from all the hours we sat in the stands last year without much luck all came to fruition here at the start of the season, because it has been a good run. But this will end, just like bad streaks end, good streaks end as well. It's the same as baseball, man. You get on a streak, and one thing's for sure, it's going to change soon.
Well, so right now the streak is pretty good, as we mentioned, and I think the cherry on top was the 184 that you shot in Iowa the other day. Just for a main frame, well, basically he's a 9-pointer, right? I think he had like some junk on his bases, but geez, like just gigantic frame on him. Have you ever killed a deer that big with so few points? Was there 10 on him maybe with the extra junk, or what?
No, he was a 9-point with a 174 9-point frame. And then he had 6 kickers all clustered together at his bases. He had about 10 kickers, but only 6 that were an inch or greater. And those 6 added up to like 10 and 2/8. So 174, the kickers took him to 184. So his actual frame, he was actually, when I looked at him on the ground, I was like, this deer looks exactly like Chita. And he is like a twin to Chita, who I'd killed from there to where I killed Chiquitas maybe half mile or less.
Wow.
And of course, that was gracious 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But he looked just like him, and he scored the same. Chita was a main frame 9 that scored 174, and that's what this deer scored. But he had the kickers to take him up to 184.
It's pretty awesome. So when you obviously, you guys put in a lot of work in the off season all year, frankly, and then you get your food plots, your fall plots planted. You've always talked about radishes for that early part of the season, that early October part of the season. Is that what he was coming from beans to radishes in that spot?
He was, yeah.
So your food plot architecture, is that something where you knew you thought, hey, this deer was here last year during this time frame. I may have never laid eyes on him, but I had pictures of him. Let's plant this food source in this spot to try to kind of coax him out early, or what's the strategy going into the season?
It was, and interestingly, they threw us a curveball to that strategy. Like, we have this hidden interior field, and we planted the east half in winter bulbs and sugar beets, because typically the deer bed to the east and north. They'll hit the east end of the field. They work their way west through this pinch point, and then on out to bigger grain fields to the south and to the west. So we planted winter bulbs and sugar beets to the east, radishes to the west. That paper plan, it's like, this is perfect. They're going to, start on the winter bulbs, walk through this pinch point where we're set up, and then out to the radishes. And Wade's deer did that, and we killed him in that pinch point. But as we sat there that night, we kept noticing a lot more movement to our west, coming from a bean field that had already defoliated from the south and working into the other end of the radish field about 100 yards away. And I started putting 2 and 2 together, because I had put a camera over on that end of the field last year, and I had 2 different shooters that were using it. And then we started getting shooters on our stealth cam this year doing it, the same 2, and they were daylighting once in a while. So midday, the day after Wade had killed his deer, Coondog and I drug a Keen trailer in there, popped it up, and we had a lot of trimming to do. We did it as lightly as we possibly could, and then put that blind in place. And then first time, and I set that blind for a northwest wind. First time in, we killed that deer. He did exactly what we had observed. So even the best laid plans go astray at times, and sometimes that MRI is the best way forward. We watched what they did, and we moved the blind, and then killed the deer the first time in.
So how many days was it between when you moved the blind in and did the trimming until you first sat there?
I think 2 or 3. It was either 2 or 3.
Do you think, I get it. Like the deer, you guys have been hunting box planes there for a long time. And so there probably isn't quite as much of maybe a scare to a blind being. It's just another piece of equipment to them probably, right?
Oh, these deer have all grown up around box blinds. They're trees to them. A box blind sitting anywhere on one of my farms is nothing new. And more often than not, they're around them and not smelling anything. So we put it up and watched the trail camera pictures come in, and they really never even looked at it. Like it didn't faze them. But I had it tucked back in the trees, and where I did the trimming was not an area they walk, because it's kind of a waterway and it's really brushy. So I didn't take it all the way to the ground, and I intentionally let it up at their eyesight. I allowed that brush to stand so that it effectively did not seem different to them. Most of what we trimmed was for video more so than shooting.
Yeah.
So we just trimmed some lanes so that we could see them coming and not be taken by a surprise. And it worked, because he literally walked right through all of our lanes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have seen him. It was really brushy. And there's some funny time-lapse pictures of Coondog and I rolling in, and all the brush is there, and then all of a sudden it's all gone, so it was quite a haircut. But we left that bottom 4 feet stand, so the structure they were walking around in that waterway all remained intact. It was really the upper stuff that we cut.
Yeah.
Well, it looked like in the blind you had to do some contorting to get
the
shot. Yeah, to get the shot off. Talk about that.
Well, yes, because it was one of our older muddies, so the windows were it was a small horizontal, not the larger ones like they have on the muddies and the Hawks now. So from a standing position, I couldn't get him out of the verticals. It was only the horizontal, because sitting I was too low, right?
Yeah.
To see him well. So I had to stand, but standing was too tall. So I just squatted down in my thighs, and kept my back straight and made the shot that way. But I practiced that shot in case it happens, out there in a blind.
And that's not easy. I'm hunting a blind similar to that. It's like one of the first muddies I ever got. It's up at one of my leases, and it's a small window. And I think about that a lot, because there's a pinch point right in front of us, and it kind of looked like yours may have pinched down a little bit there. And if they're right below you, you're not going to be able to shoot them unless you do something creative to get the angle to go down, right?
Yeah, you have to be really patient sometimes with getting that shot and making sure you have the ability to ethically take the game. And luckily, he was a slow walker and gave me a great shot at 20 yards. And the key to those small windows is making sure your sight is going through the very tip top of it so that your arrow clears the bottom. We actually practice that as well. We'll cut cardboard out the same width of a small window and shoot through it at a variety of distances to see where our pin has to be in order for the arrow to clear based on your distance away from the windows. So it kind of practice makes perfect in that situation.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have probably bumped the edge of their blind window.
Coondog did it early in the season on his Missouri deer.
He did.
Yeah, it was on deer season 24 on that episode.
And it's something that you don't think you're going to do, but then in the heat of the moment when you're trying to focus on 12 other things.
Yeah. Were there a lot of deer out with him, or was he a lone ranger there?
There were, on the radishes, there was like a spike and a fork, and then there was 2 or 3 does back there with him, as I recall, but there was not a ton of deer around us. No, and the does had kind of sifted off. It was basically just us and him in our immediate bubble. Everything else was a little distant. So rare and, welcome, certainly, because so often by the time those matures walk, you've got several deer on the field and many that could pick you, and smell you or see you, whatever. But in this case, it was just us and him. So we were fortunate in that respect.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because even opening the windows, there's a real art to that. We've talked about it before, but that's typically where shit goes south. It feels like, right when you need it to all go right, you got to be super careful of getting that window open. And if you have a lot of deer on the field, obviously there's a lot of opportunities to start getting, eyeballs to starting to see you and get fishy on you. So that's what I was wondering, like, how early did you open the window then, knowing he's coming down your shooting lane?
Not till the last second, as I recall. He was right there before we opened it. It's funny because he was standing still broadside eating beans at like 42. And Wade's like, you need to shoot him. You need to shoot him. You should shoot him. You should shoot him. And I didn't really want to shoot at 42.
Sure.
I'm capable of making that shot, but it was really dead calm. And I didn't want to take that shot in those weather conditions. And I also had high confidence level he was going to walk to those radishes. Mm-hmm. So he finally talked me into trying, because the deer was dead calm. So we rearranged the blind, moved his chair. I got to where he was because that's where my shot was. And about the time we were getting ready to go ahead and open the window and try, he quarters to us and just starts walking towards the radishes. So we had to move the chair back, swap positions again, get Wade back in position, and then shoot him at 20 yards. So it was a little bit of a shuffle right there at the last second.
Always.
I stalled long enough that the deer finally broke and came in, because I really didn't want to try him at 42, but I was about to, because of the wind. I mean, I could make the shot, but I was going to aim low, to compensate for a drop. In the DeerCast journal entry, you say that, like, I think he's going to come to the radishes, and that's interesting, because when you hit him, and we don't get a ton of pass-throughs anyways, and especially you and Terry with your shoulders, you've cranked down your poundage a little bit, and so it's not really something that we get a ton of as a pass-through. But did it look like there was less than normal on that shot, or is it about your standard? Like, it pops out, doesn't it, as he takes off running? It broke, so it lodged in the off side, and it broke with one of his first few steps. So
okay. Yeah, it was hard to tell.
It did what my arrows normally do. They typically will go to the offside and slightly poke out or stop there, depending on what all was hit and cut on the way through. But I'm shooting less poundage this year than I have, because I did tear my right rotator. I've always had a left rotator cuff and inflamed biceps tendon issue in my left. This spring, I fell while going down a ditch turkey hunting, and I tore my right rotator cuff. So I've got problems in both shoulders, which I'm going to get addressed in the off season. And I'm shooting less poundage this year. I'm probably shooting 51, 52 pounds. So I'm not shooting a lot. And I'm shooting a 2-inch
expandable
kill zone. I couldn't think of the dadgum name. A 2-inch kill zone. And it did the job. He didn't go 60 yards. I mean, he took off running, and that's a creek due west of us. And he ran, and I don't know if you could tell in the footage or not, because I really haven't watched it back that closely, but he just ran off the shelf of the creek. He didn't run down. He just kept running and then fell into the creek, and that's where he lay dead. So he was dead within 60, 70 yards. And seconds. I mean, it was quick.
It was
and you see shot. That immediate blood coming out.
Yeah, so it was a great shot.
Because of my poundage, I will say this: I am extremely disciplined on the body angle of the deer before I will release an arrow. So I understand my shortcomings in that poundage. I know what my arrow can and will do if I hit my mark. So I take every precaution to make sure I hit my mark.
Yeah.
And I'm just very disciplined on body position, deer demeanor, and making sure that arrow can hit a broadside to slightly quartering away or slightly quartering to animal and get into that rib cage. I mean, that's what I'm striving for.
What did you sever when the arrow went in there?
Everything, man. It hit both lungs. I think it hit the aortic arch as well, because you don't get blood under pressure that quick without hitting that pump station right there. So both lungs were severed, and I had to have hit one of the main arteries right there.
Beautiful.
So a lot of times, and past seasons, you'll have a storied history or a chase with a certain animal. Was this one where certainly you knew of him, but was there that kind of history involved with him, or just, hey, I know what deer he is, and they showed up and he finally was old enough and kind of had the headgear of somebody you're going to go after?
I've never encountered this deer before, so there's not a storied video history with him. We had trail pictures of him, and he was a big frame, big giant 8 last year with real tall tines. And then this year he just exploded. He was one of those deer that you look at him from year to year and you think, well, he's going to be another big 8 that's going to look like he does this year. But this one really grew. I mean, I would have guessed him last year at probably 155-ish, 160. Mm-hmm. And this year he's, in the mid 80s. So he put on a lot of inches and certainly grabbed our attention this year.
So when you see that, we had a young man on the podcast last week who killed that 232 up in the Unionville area. And, he thought that deer the year before that the neighbors, everybody kind of thought he was in the 60s, and he made that kind of a jump. I mean, a custom big leap would be 30, 40 inches, right? I mean, do you see much more beyond that a lot of times?
Not normally, no. I mean, here the last few years, we've been so dry, we've seen very few jumps. Most of the deer, frankly, have had, 1 to 5% increase. And, it's very rare to see a deer make a 10 or 20% increase, but that type of increase is almost unheard of. That's an anomaly, certainly.
Yeah.
A major anomaly.
Yeah, for sure. What were the G2s and 3s on your deer? Because they looked unbelievable. That's part of that frame you're talking about, but they look just crazy large.
The 2s were over a foot, and the 3s were in the mid 13s, as I recall.
Come on, Tim. I'd like my main beams to get to
Yeah, no, I would be happy with that also.
The beams were 26 and 4/8, if I recall. 24 and 6/8.
So
4/8.
massive, like
26 and 4/8. I said that wrong. 26 and 4/8.
Yeah, that's a deer that moves some water.
Yeah, well, when you sent the pictures to Dad and I that night, once you recovered him, well, I thought when you sent the screenshot of the shot, I thought, well, that's a big ass deer. And then you sent the pictures of him laying there, and I'm like, that's a big deer, but you don't get quite the idea of how big until you see a human holding the rack. You know what I mean? That's where it's like, holy shit.
You see it moving.
Yeah, like that's a big deer.
That's that body perspective. He was such a large bodied animal. You're used to looking at a deer that, might weigh live weight 210 to 250 pounds. So all of a sudden, when you look at one that's 300 or more, it doesn't have the perspective that a smaller body deer does in terms of their rack. So this deer was a gigantic body deer. I mean, he dwarfed every other deer we saw, and really he's dwarfed any deer I've seen this year. He was just really a big body deer. Coon dogs was like that in Missouri as well. Monstrous body for Missouri. And those big bodies shrink those racks down in terms of perspective until you get some other perspective like a hunter behind them.
Did you guys weigh him?
We did not weigh him, but I would be shocked if he wasn't over 300. I mean, he was really
crazy.
large.
It's a cow.
What a tank. Jeez. Well, and to have a big bodied animal go down that quickly, because the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Like it just takes more to take them down, but it's a great job.
I'm also because of my poundage, I'm anal over my broadheads being, scalpel sharp. I work on them, particularly that number 1, the one I know that I'm shooting. Yeah. And if it doesn't get close to a hair and shave it without even touching it, I'm not shooting it. And I really believe it makes a huge difference in recovery to make sure those broadheads are sharp. Typically from the factory, most broadheads will do an ample, great job. Mm-hmm. But if you take them that extra, and it's not easy to do, you got to have the right tools to do it. But boy, when you get them sharp like that, it makes a difference in blood trails. It makes a difference in mortality.
What are you doing exactly to it, or how are you sharpening it? That's tough to do on those. It seems like
it's very tough. I've got a titanium double wheel set. I don't know. There's not one sitting here, but I've got one out in my pack, and I go over the blades with it. And then I'll lightly hit them with a ceramic set that I have, and it consistently gets them really, really sharp.
Okay.
So a metal titanium.
Yeah, it's 2 round wheels that come together in an angle like that, and it's easy to just work it across the blades. and that alone will get them razor sharp. And then if I hit them just a little bit with a ceramic, it takes that next edge.
I'll do that. I've got a little carbide tip. It's like two kind of blades that are crossed, and those kill zones, you can unscrew that center screw, pull them apart, and then like get the full blade. But I worry about my broadheads as the season goes on, because they're stuck up in that foam quiver. I worry about over time that little bit of movement maybe dulling them. So I'll check them every now and again.
So like the cut on contact part even, or what? Or even the blades themselves?
The blades themselves, because the kill zones I'm shooting just have the pointed tip. It doesn't have the...
You're not shooting the cut on contact one. Yeah. You're shooting the, what do they call that? The
trophy tip, maybe?
Trophy tip, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Mark, are you able to sharpen that cut on contact, that little blade in front?
It's very difficult, but I do it on my ceramic stick. So I'll take the blades out and I just hit that tip until I get it to where it'll pull a fingernail or pull hair. That one's much more difficult because of its size and the way it's positioned in there. It's tougher to sharpen, but I do address it.
Right now, everybody's listening and they're sharpening broadheads.
They're wondering like, oh crap.
You got to be careful with them because they're so small. It's difficult to do, safely. So I've got my own little method, but it does make a difference.
I have heard other broadhead companies have issues with quality control coming from the factory, and like the heads just did not get sharpened, and so like
you wouldn't know it if you just open the package and you put them on and you didn't check it. You would think, to Mark's point a while ago, like they probably come amply sharp coming out, but sometimes something might happen at the factory where it's worth just checking it, like you said, cutting hair on your arm or whatever.
Worth checking them, certainly. We're working on a new prototype with NAP, and that's the thing I've been most impressed with. These suckers are sharp. I love the design. I love how quiet they are. I love their ability to penetrate. But man, are they sharp. I'm really happy with them. They're the first ones I haven't addressed out of the package because they're sharper than what I'm able to get them to. So they're wicked bad.
Yeah, we're hopeful that those will, you guys are still doing testing, and there's still a little bit of testing that you want to do throughout the fall. So it's probably not something until next, 25 or 25.
Yeah, that's why I say it's prototype right now, but I'm pretty confident we'll be there for 25. And I can just tell you, it's best broadhead I've played with. I mean, it's nice, really nice.
I can't wait to see him.
Can't show you, Tim.
Crap. You need to sign an NDA and a blood oath
with the broadhead.
Yes, you're in the club.
I was just trying to get it out of the package. It turns out it's blood oath.
It's crazy. I am always afraid of doinking the string on my
bow.
Sure. Every time I pull an arrow out, every time I put it back in. It's the craziest thing that we keep something so sharp next to the most critical part of our rigs.
Yeah,
I don't know another way of doing it, but it's the craziest irony in bow hunting potentially.
No question. There was a morning in a tree. Terry and I were together. It's black dark. We're over in Illinois. I was filming. He was hunting, and we both turned at the same time towards the tree. It's black dark. You can't see each other. And he had his arrow knocked already. And it slid right across my finger and opened me up, and I just started gushing blood up in the tree stand. We're like, oh no! He was like, oh my god, because he didn't know what was hit, and I'm like, oh, I just cut me blood. It's black dark, So it is. You have to be careful with them because those things are weapons meant to hemorrhage and kill. So you got to be very, very careful. But I've still got that scar on my thumb right there.
Was that back in the day when you guys were shooting like those thunderheads or what was
it? Was a thunderhead is exactly what he cut me with.
I remember those.
I always worry about, field dressing a deer, reaching up inside, and in the like weird off chance that the deer had been shot previously and there's a broadhead inside. Grabbing that.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the deer that I shot had a broadhead mark through its back. It had been shot in a previous season.
Whoa.
Right across the top of its back and in through the loin.
Really?
Jeez.
Yeah, it's been hit up there.
Survivor.
So as we look ahead, obviously you guys, you're tagged out in Missouri. You have some folks, and Taylor still has to come up. She probably comes another week or two.
17th. She's got a wedding on the 19th that she's going to attend. So she'll start, around the 20th.
Yeah. So until then, you guys, I know there's an early muzzleloader season in Iowa. Is that something that the boys, Wade or Perry or somebody's going to get a tag for?
Perry's getting a tag for that. And I've still got my statewide tag. So
yeah,
I've got an archery tag and Perry's going to get that early muzz tag. So, and we've got a front coming, very rare front. Looks pretty promising.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So as we, Terry and I have talked about it at great length. You guys were killing them primarily, when that last full moon came around, you guys were just lethal through that, full moon period, and there were hot temperatures. And so this month, we're coming back into the full moon. I think it's on the 17th, and next week we have some really cold temperatures finally coming through. And so what strategy wise, as you look at October, historically, it's been very good for the team in general, that early to mid part of the season of October. So when you look at that and you see a full moon, October the 17th, are you just licking your chops when a cold front's coming along with it because things are kind of lining up? You guys were lethal in the first, month of the season, and now we have a second month kind of lining up the same way.
I am, but also cautiously optimistic because it does get to that middle part of the month. And historically, they start scraping, they start swelling up as testosterone levels, increase. I think we can still catch them on a food source, but that food source might be acorns. It might be a little bit more back in the bedroom. It's just historically a time that they don't hit the fields early enough for us to succeed. This cold front's good enough. I think some might because we have a rising moon. So we always say a good moon can turn a rough phase better, right? So we're in the October lull, the middle part of October, historically a tough time. However, they're not with the does. They're still on food. If you can find the right food source, this cold front with that rising moon should have them on their feet and give hunters a chance to see them during daylight hours. But that food source may not necessarily be a food plot. It could be in the cover on acorns.
So is there an ideal part of the moon phase where it's rising at a certain time period of the early afternoon? Like, what's your favorite? Like, hey, the moon's rising at 3:49 p.m. or is it 5 p.m. or what is it? During this section of the season where you really like to see it.
Typically, it's day. If you look at the full moon and back up about 7 days, it's about day 7 ahead of the full moon through about day 2. Those 5 days are typically the best. The closer you get to the full moon, the later they will get up and walk in the afternoon. The further you are away from it, generally the earlier they will get there. So I like that day 7, 6, 5, 4 right in there is really good. So if, for October's moon, if it's the 17th, you're looking at 10, 11, 12, 13th of October, which typically 10, 11, 12 are real good. 13th, 14th. My birthday's the 13th. I've never killed a deer on my birthday. So that'll speak right there. And I always say that's when the October lull starts because I never even see deer on my birthday typically.
Yeah.
So it's a tough day, 13, 14, 15 right in there. So this full moon with this cold front is going to challenge that theory, but it will not surprise me if we hit the 13th and movement falls off a shelf. It won't surprise me because it's always generally pretty tough.
Because that's about when the cold front really comes through. Because Friday, today as we're filming this, it's Wednesday the 9th. I think this should go up yet this afternoon. So you're talking Thursday the 10th, Friday the 11th. It's like 86, 87 down here. I'm sure up there it's the same. So I was talking to Dad about it because I need to borrow Force to help do some work down on a lease that I just picked up, and we were talking about it. He's like, well, Dad's like, we're probably dumb, trying to do this because of the temperatures, but it's like that moon is finally, that's for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's the best time, so we're gonna go hunt. He's like, we should probably skip it, but we're gonna be there.
Right. So you have two challenges, right? typically good dates with bad temperatures, a rising moon, pressure's decent, but the temperatures are really high. So, if it would all have lined up in those dates, it would have been magnificent, I think. But we're going to see temperatures challenge that movement when things are optimum. And then we're going to see the phase challenge movement whenever things are very, very good. Yeah. So it'll be an interesting week to watch what happens. Mm-hmm. I personally think it's going to be quite good. And I think there's going to be a lot of big deer die in the Midwest. That's my gut.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, starting Monday, the temperature, like the highs, DeerCast is saying 61, 60, 61.
And the lows, where are they at?
Lows
they're in the 30s, right?
Yeah. Like Tuesday. I'm sure people love this. Here's the DeerCast for our area.
Here's what I'll be doing.
I'm going to start telling you temperatures here in the St. Louis area. 35 degrees for the low on Tuesday of next week.
See, our high's up here in the 50s next week. We have 3 days in a row in the 50s.
Yeah, even better. And it's of course, I don't know about you, but like with family stuff going on, I can't hunt until next week, until Monday and Tuesday. So I'm just hating to miss it, but it's been tough so far for, I don't know your experiences, but so far on mine, on the piece I'm going, like I got skunked this week, which has never happened on this particular spot I was hunting. Like it's just been real tough.
I don't know. Like things are picking up where I've been hunting here in the St. Louis area. I took, I hunted 2 mornings ago. I saw more deer. I was back in some thicker stuff. I saw more deer than I've seen all season yet.
Yeah, the cameras have been pretty good in the mornings on those cold mornings, but it just I'm not hunting.
Yeah, so and I try not to hunt too many mornings, but the camera intel was just so good, and I finally started seeing some bucks, which was nice. And then I took Bo out last night, and he's trying to kill his first deer. And we heard a bunch of deer, saw a bunch of deer in the field as we were driving. We got a late start. But then he had a doe walk within 8 steps of the blind in front of us. And she's just like walking towards us, meandering. And I'm like, there's no shot. And he knows, he's 7 years old, but he knows. And so he got close and exercised good judgment in that situation. So it was a great encounter.
Awesome.
But yeah, things have been like really good and really optimistic. So
good.
Let's see if we can keep it rolling.
Yeah, good deal.
I agree with that. Mornings have been really, really good on the cameras. And I think that they'll certainly be the first morning it's out of the north as this front comes in. Mid-October, first strong northerly wind will be fantastic. It always is.
That's one thing we haven't had a ton of. On Sunday, we had a decent wind speed. But other than that, I have not had much for wind speed this season, it seems like. It's killing me.
We're in a pattern with no clouds and pressure pretty decent. Yep. And light winds. We're just in a stable high pressure, basically. And I like to see that change, weather fronts coming, going, and that's what gets animals moving. When you have the same weather over and over and over, it's kind of, what's the motivation to get up and move out of my bed today any earlier than I normally do? One thing I will mention, these temperatures are cold enough, it won't surprise me if the first day of the front almost shocks them just a little bit and they don't move quite as well as we think they're going to move. Mm-hmm. And certainly I think one thing that could occur on the back end of the front, that first warm day, may be as good as any portion of the front.
So the first south after all those norths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get there. They've been warm for months now. From June up until right now, they've been warm. And sometimes a really dramatic cold front this time of the year, or any time of the year, when you get a big drop, it can almost shock them a little bit to where they don't quite move as well as you think. Yeah. I hope that's not the case, but it wouldn't surprise me if that does happen.
Yeah.
Mark, how are scrapes looking up by you, and how is that working into your strategy?
They're starting to pop open, but the bucks still aren't really aggressive. They're kind of checking the limbs, that type of stuff. You don't see them pawing the ground a lot. They are pawing the ground some, but that testosterone's just about to start. And generally the middle part of the month, you'll see them really, really blow open and start scraping better. The other thing we've noticed are new bucks showing up. Bucks that historically don't get there till October, they've started to show up and make the rounds and check scrapes and that type of stuff. In the last week, we've had 3 different, 6-year-old deer show up that hadn't been there really since August or so.
So have you guys started moving cameras to scrapes, or you kind of have yours kind of already set on hub scrapes or historical spots where you don't need to now go move a lot?
We put ours on scrape areas back in, August and September. Whenever we move out of summer inventory, we start going to scrape. So they've been there, and now the deer just finally starting to use them. I mean, I've got 2 or 3 cameras where I haven't had a buck yet, and all of a sudden the last few days I've had bucks show up on them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
Sweet.
you guys don't really use much for like a scrape generator or any kind of dopey or anything like that, do you?
sometimes I do if it's a new area. Or Coondog and I put a camera out the other day in a pinch point, and there wasn't a scrape around. There's a real wide open area in the woods, thick on either side, but these trails all pinch around this trail. And we actually cut down a big tree and leaned it over the fork of another tree just to have the limbs in the right area. And I didn't have scrape generator with me or any scent. Had I would have used it in that situation to try and get them to start right there. So if I'm trying to start them and put them in front of a camera, I will, but I don't do it a lot. But there are certain situations where I will use it. And it's generally because I'm trying to start a new one or get their attention to an area to go scrape.
Gotcha.
This is my first year with scrape ropes. I started making them, and I just hung 5. And 4 out of 5 have, and these are all mock scrapes. These are scrapes that I started. 4 out of 5 already have shooter bucks on them.
Nice.
So like, it's crazy because these deer had not been showing up on cameras in the area, but they are hitting those mock scrapes now.
That's cool.
So,
well, we expect to see a big one then through this cold front, Tim.
Get one on your
You
birthday.
put the pressure on yourself right here on your own show.
No, you exacerbated it though. Everyone else was going to let it go.
You've got 4 or 5 shooters. You better go kill one of them during this front.
No pressure. Now I feel pressure.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to hunt. I just got family stuff going on. It is amazing.
You're not hunting, Matt?
Not till Monday will be the first day I can go. Monday, Tuesday. It's just tough. It's just so tough. We have the kids are in that age range where we have youth sports and cheer and Olivia, Kelly's daughter's in homecoming, as a senior on Friday. So there's just something every day. Mom's got our big giant Halloween party Sunday. It's just like, you can't miss that or you're excommunicated.
Here's what you do. You proactively tell Miranda, I'm not going to hunt today. Because you weren't going to anyways, but you have to get credit for when you're not going.
Make her feel good about the fact that I'm not going.
Yes.
I chose wisely.
Yes. Hey, I'm choosing family today.
She's like, yeah.
And then when you finally say,
And?
you know what? I think I'm going to go hunt on Monday.
It's like, oh yeah, okay.
It's the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, it's good. I'll see. I'll let you. We'll tune back in next week. I'll let you know how that went.
Please do.
Awesome.
You can't ask, but you can make times during a front so miserable when you are around them, they urge you to go.
Ooh.
So
it's good. It's quality.
That's my advice, because Tracy knows if we're on a big deer and there's a cold front coming and we have something to attend, she knows I'm not going to be worth a flip at the event. I'm going to be crabby, not very talkative. So she's just like, go hunting. I missed my anniversary in 2015 and killed the biggest deer of my life. And she was the one that urged me to go. So we actually celebrated ahead of time.
Trained her well.
I was able to kill danger that year.
Become insufferable.
Yeah, but the difference is that's the biggest deer of your life. I can't really convince Miranda to let me go shoot a 140.
You pissed away another night. Didn't kill anything.
This is my shooter. Well, yeah, is he a giant? Yep, he's a good 140.
He's a good one for me, honey. She don't care.
Let's just say he's not going to be a shoulder mount. All right.
Yes.
Got a Euro buck.
Got a wall full of euros.
Got a lot of those too. What do you know?
All right. Well, should we get into some of the shenanigans? I know we got some hard stops here in 12 minutes or so.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So let's get into the question of the day. The question of the day is brought to you by Tenzing, providing ultimate comfort and easy accessibility to all of your gear. I will say that pack held up pretty well in Idaho. We put a lot of miles and a lot of different terrain. And, I basically used the whitetail pack for my backpack. It did great.
For some reason in my mind, I just see your pack full of snacks.
I mean, there was a lot of
Ben
snacks.
Has the actual equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. So
which meat sticks hanging out the side.
A lot of first form protein sticks, a
Held
few
up
bars, a couple hydration sticks.
Crinkling as you go.
What of it, Tim?
I'm just saying. The snack
You got to eat. I provided snacks for everyone. All right.
always take it.
All right. So we got a question from Adam Jones from the Rack Pack. He says, what is something that you do to attract or distract a buck during a hunt? That's a good question. Mark, would you say like you guys put a lot of scrape trees out, on your food plots? That's something that I've seen you guys probably have as much success as anyone.
Absolutely, man. If we've got a food plot, we got a scrape tree at 20 yards straight up wind, and it's fish to structure. It's amazing how many deer, and a lot of times it's not the buck seeing the scrape tree and walking 50 yards. Oh, I'm going to go hit that scrape, but there will be a doe there or another little buck, and they will come to that live decoy that's around your tree. Like I said, it's fish to structure, and they sure do work for us. They don't work every time, but they work enough. We continue to go through the effort to put them out because they do take some effort. We like to take a 6.5 foot T-post, drive it pretty deep, and then wire a bur oak or pin oak that has fairly long branches to that in 3 places, top, middle, and bottom. And we've kind of got it down to a pattern now that works pretty well for us.
Yeah. The other day in Deercast, Coondog had a video of Wade doing one and Perry doing one. So it was nice to see him educating us.
I would just like the record to show that Mark Drury made a fishing reference.
Yeah. We're
That's right.
big into fishing.
That's right.
Heard of it.
All right. Well, there you go. Thanks, Adam, for the question.
Nice job, Adam. Hey, so for the Wildlife Word, it's brought to you by Sportsman Channel, the home of Winchester and Drury's Natural Born. All right, this is the Old English word for deer. Is it A, heart, B, hund, C, Jenny,
I like that.
or D, torque?
I know my answer. What do you got, Mark?
I think B, hund, but I don't know.
I'm going with A, heart. H-A-R-T.
Heron.
What?
No.
That wasn't a choice.
Heart is right.
Boom.
Old English
Boom.
word for deer. Huh. I'm trying to think of any references that I've heard with heart in it, but I can't.
Isn't there like some sort of mutual fund or something? Heart, like there's a heart, like that's the, there you go. Heart. That's how I came up with this answer.
Maybe that is it. Yeah.
Huh?
Town of the Deer.
You'd be surprised how I take tests, I think.
It's a beautiful mind. Like,
Well, one time I saw a stag in a Hartford commercial.
Can I relate
There's the
this?
word heart there, so heart it is.
most of my knowledge comes from commercials I've seen.
I do like TV.
90s game shows.
All right.
Okay. Shout outs.
We need some.
Dude. We
What?
do. We need shout outs.
That looked like it pained you.
It's like people just consume the show and then they go on
Do
with
they?
their lives.
I assume they do.
The ones that do.
I tell you what, we got a lot of feedback from last week's episode with Lance and stuff. So he had a great story. It was an awesome story of that deer, but he said the word and stuff a lot. And boy, the comments I hope he didn't read the comments because I hope he didn't feel bad about his performance.
Yeah.
It was rough, but a lot of people picked up on killing 230s and stuff was the phrase we got out of it. We were hoping to have coffee mugs by now. We were going to have some on the set today.
Oh, he said and stuff. Like it was just.
Yeah.
He habitually says it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But it was a great story. I mean, dude, the amount of times he saw this deer would blow your mind and go against everything you've ever thought of how you would kill a big deer. It almost ran over him once when he was going to put a camera out or
The
set
deer
out.
almost ran over him also.
That's what I'm saying.
It got within like 5 feet or something.
Yeah, he sent me the video of it. He was like 10 steps from this damn thing.
That's cool. There's always a story behind every big deer, and they're so fun to share. That's why I love the giant trackers within Deercast. And when you have guests on like that, I think everybody's fascinated. And then they put themselves in that position and go, you know what? This could happen to me.
Yeah. Oh, well, and a perfect example of that, we hope to have cousin and your nephew, Jason Lurk on, and hopefully Justin, if we could work their schedules out for the next episode. Cousin Jason killed a 180-inch deer down in Bloomsdale, Missouri, a town of 400 people where you grew up, and Terry and myself. And you know as much as probably better than I that how much of a feat that is. Now they're managing down there better than ever, the St. John County area, but boy, a 180 is rare.
It is, and they've got another one that just showed up.
What?
Jason sent me a trail camera picture of it a couple days ago. It's not as big as that one, but it's a nice buck that just showed up. I don't know if he sent that to you. But.
Yeah, Justin hunted with me on Sunday. I took him up to a farm, and he showed me what showed up that night when we were hunting 2 hours away, what showed up 30 minutes from his house. It was like, why are you with me? You should know better.
You chose poorly.
Yeah.
And Matt, from where you grew up, that can't be but maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles from your house to where they shot that. It's very close there.
Yeah. Eric, Jason, Jared, Justin's cousin Eric, he was the one filming him. He was doing something there in Bloomsdale. He was kind of near St. Agnes, and he said he got a cell cam picture, and it was that deer. And he looked out from the parking lot, and where the property is. He's like, that deer right now is right so there. So it's pretty crazy. He had to travel.
If you look at the cover of King of the Spring, the original cover with Terry and I and those birds hanging from that, like where he killed that is straight off the hill from where that cover was shot. He killed it on what was Franz Walker's ground just below Uncle Marvin's house. And we shot those photos right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. And so hopefully I don't want to give all the story away, but there's a lot more crazy things. If you've read the Deercast journal entry, the story that the writers did and the write up there, it's phenomenal. But I hope to have them on next week's episode and take us through it, because there's a lot of spiritual, just stuff that can't be a coincidence with their father passing away earlier in the year, and it was his property. It's a very touching story. So anyways, hopefully that'll be the next one. But to your point, every deer has a neat story behind it, and especially every big deer.
That one's pretty epic when you hear the whole thing. I'm anxious for you guys to get Jason on and him tell that story, and then also weave that into a Deer Season 24, or that one may be going on Dream Season Live.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on Dream Season Live. I'm looking at Ben right now. He's editing. He's starting to edit it. So hopefully in another week that'll be up. We're waiting for some interviews and stuff from the boys, the brothers, but it should be a fun story.
As he does that podcast, it may give Ben some ideas, but that whole story needs to be woven into it, because it's really one of the better stories I've heard in a while. And I'm not saying that just because he's our nephew or your cousin. It really is the historic, usage of that farm, and John's passing, and the boys killing their first deer out of that exact spot. All that stuff is so cool, and I can't wait for you guys to share it.
Absolutely. So
no deer is killed in a vacuum.
All right. Well, last but certainly not least, we have some new Rack Pack members. This is the time of year where it really starts to heat up in there. So a lot of people posting hero shots and trail camera shots and asking questions. I love it. I love this time of year in the Rack Pack. So if you don't know what it is, it's a private Facebook group. All you got to do is type in 100% Wild Rack Pack, and you can join the group. So a couple new names we have: Jake Kammerrimmer. That doesn't seem right. Kammermer. Adam Duncan, Jared Schmidt, Travis Burns, Gus Undite. Gesundheit. Hey. All right. Doug Dara, Cody Virchow, Will Hogue, Cody Rickling, Adam Dubush,
Johnson.
Sorry, guys. I can't read.
Good. No, it's good.
I can't read.
I think people like to hear new variations of their names.
Of their name they've had forever.
Maybe they've been saying it wrong.
It could be. So
I've just got one request. If people are gonna try to flame me up with saddle posts in the Rack Pack,
they already do.
Try to find new memes.
Yeah, the crap strap or whatever. You get that one a lot.
Yeah. That's exercise.
Trying to talk Perry into going out and shooting a doe out of a saddle, and he won't do it.
Come on, Perry.
Man, can you guys put some pressure on him in the Rack Pack post or on another podcast? Like, let's get some real peer pressure going here to get Perry up a tree in a saddle and try and shoot a doe.
That would be fantastic.
I just tell him, I'm like, you can't do it. You wouldn't even succeed. You wouldn't be able to. That's not working either. He's like, I know what you're doing.
He got pretty offended the other day. Because he's in there a lot in the Rack Pack, and somebody, I forget what the question was. Oh, it was about two different calibers for rifles. To go with, a 270 or a 308. And Perry answered it, and somebody says, "Would you shoot a lot of button bucks with that?" He's like, 3, but I've killed hundreds with it as well. Hundreds of does with it.
Well, actually,
I got a kick out
King
of
of defense. That's what I call him.
Perry Button.
All right. Well, we appreciate you taking the time.
I've told you his nickname, Perry Button, right?
Yes.
So that's in my phone as his contact. So we have a new biologist at the state of Missouri who's working with us on DMAP. So I start emailing her. Well, it's coming through as Perry Button, right? He texted me the other day at like 4 a.m. because I emailed her, responding to her request and whatnot. And Perry Button is CC'd, and he sends me this text. So enough of the button. We get the joke. You can check my contact in your phone. He was all upset at me because now she thinks his name's Perry Button.
That's still not as bad though, Mark, because like on our group emails, Taylor has you listed as daddy, and you show up as daddy in my Outlook also, which I don't like.
Who's your daddy?
I don't like it.
Who's your daddy? Well, I want some public pressure for Perry Button to get up a tree in a saddle, and it needs to come from you guys on your podcast.
We can do it. Let's go, Rack Pack. You have a mission from the madman. Let's execute.
We're going to do some online bullying. Let's roll.
Like a great middle schooler would, we're going to online bully him until he does it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well, we appreciate you jumping on, giving us all the good details on the 184 and giving us some knowledge heading into this next stretch of the season. And hopefully we can have you guys back on and we can all talk about our kills.
I'd love that.
I would love that too. Yes. Or maybe just talk about you guys' kills.
Also.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you soon.
Mark.
All right. Another great episode, Tim.
This is the best.
It was very good.
Every episode we do just gets better.
Well, think about it. When we get people entering the Rack Pack, they answer that question, and the question is, why do they listen? They say Mark and Terry.
Yeah,
a
little bit of bait and switch.
Yeah, every once in a while we gotta have them on.
Give the people what they want.
All right. Well, I hope everybody's out there hitting that cold front. Check your DeerCast forecast, and good luck in the coming week.
See ya.
All right. Peace out.
Take land management to the next level with DeerCast's exclusive virtual rain gauges. Pinpoint accuracy and historical data, all powered by industry-leading ag weather services. DeerCast has the tools to keep you ahead of your game.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by DeerCast Maps, waypoints, weather, virtual rain gauges, and more. Every tool you need to get ahead of your game.